So, you guys will notice in the gameplay here that I am using a lot of save states, which essentially allows you, when you're using an emulator, to basically save and load whenever you want during any point in the game. And I definitely take advantage of that when I'm playing any game on an emulator because it's just so frustrating when I'm playing a game on, especially on the hardest difficulty. So the combat is quite challenging, but I die a lot and I end up having to restart the level over and over and over again if I run out of lives. I just like at this point in my life, I don't have the time to really spend a considerable amount of time replaying levels over and over again because I kept dying. Like here's the thing, I don't like easy mode either. That's my thing. Like there are people who debate easy mode versus hard mode or medium difficulty or like super hard, whatever, legendary mode. Well, first of all, I almost never play on the highest difficulty setting. If we're talking about a game like Call of Duty or any first-person shooter, even Fallout, I will shamelessly play the game on the lowest possible difficulty setting because my immersion in the game is completely lost when the enemies are taking like 20, 25 bullets in the head without dying. Like I'm like, I really I'm really not a big fan of that. It actually takes me away from the game, and it feels like in those cases the challenge and the difficulty is just artificially inflated, just simply giving a buff to the damage that enemies deal, reducing the damage that you give. Like I know that's kind of the whole point of difficulty setting, but in a lot of ways it feels just kind of meaningless. But I hate it when things are just too easy. Like, with Fallout, I'll play on the easiest mode because I have a bunch of mods to play with, I have a bunch of stuff, and plus I honestly mostly play Fallout for the exploration, crafting, and that kind of thing, rather than the actual gunplay itself. But yeah, as a working adult, someone who does not have a whole lot of free time to play video games, or at least, when I do have time to play video games, I don't want to spend all of that time trying to beat one level while still enjoying a challenge and not liking when things are too easy and just handed to you on a silver platter. So I find save states to be like a good middle ground. I really wish like all modern games had something like that. I know like most of them have checkpoints, but I like just being able to save whenever the hell I want, whenever I feel like it, with no restrictions, because even having to restart like 5 minutes before, I get pissed off. So checkpoints a lot of the time don't even do it for me. Fallout has a quick save feature where you can save whenever you want, or you can save your game whenever you feel like it. Obviously it poses the risk of you saving the game like a moment before you die, but that's why having multiple saves and saving frequently is a great thing. You just press one button. I think you press like the select button on the controller and it automatically quick saves for you, so it's not even like a tedious process. It's pretty seamless into the whole gameplay experience. Yeah, I wish that was a more common thing. I really do, because it feels like time lost and time that I'm never going to get back when I spend, I don't know, 10, 15 minutes on a level and then suddenly I get killed or whatever happens and I have to restart all over again. And at that, like, a lot of the time that makes me just quit the game altogether and move on to something else because I get frustrated. And that's what happened with my Let's Play channel, with me Let's Playing a bunch of these PS2 games on PCSX2. I would not really want to use save states. I want to play the game as close to the way that it's meant to be played as possible, but it just got to a point where I'm like, man, I'm wasting so much fucking time in my life replaying this shit. And you could say, well, it's just because you suck and need to get good. Sure, I don't really give a fuck. I don't care about what my gamer reputation is on the internet, if I'm good or bad, what people perceive me, because I just care about myself, my experience, how I enjoy the game personally, and I'm not going to try to play the game to cater to a bunch of strangers on the internet. I put my shit out there. If you don't want to see it, if it's not your thing, if you don't think I'm legit enough, then fine. There's plenty of other channels that you can watch. But I'll say this, my enjoyment and fun that I've had with these games has improved dramatically since I said fuck it and started using save states pretty regularly. Like, I'm always pressing that hotkey to save my game and get back to it. Like, if I die, I'm right back where I was, and it's just, oh man, it's so much more enjoyable that way. Because while I could just breeze through the game, easy mode, it doesn't feel the same. Like, I don't feel like I'm really playing the game when I'm just playing it dumbed down and you know, you hit the enemy once and they're already dead. Like, that's too much. And even medium difficulty, like, no, I like to play a challenging game. That's the thing. You know, I really do. I just want to skip the tediousness and the time commitment aspect of the challenge and just go straight to the challenge, if that makes any sense. But I've definitely seen a trend online of people talking about, yeah, like, as I got older, I stopped playing these games on the hardest difficulty. I just play on easy so I can experience the game, experience the story and everything, but not have to spend a ridiculous amount of time on the game because, you know, I'm just not in that headspace anymore to really commit to that. But, you know, I like having that option where I can get the best of both worlds, essentially. And I kind of hate it when games don't have a quick save or save state option. I remember my very first experience with that because I remember one of the very first video games that I ever played was Battle for Bikini Bottom on PS2. And I love the fact that I could just save the game whenever I want. If my mom wants me to do something or whatever, I could just save it, get out of the game, and come back to it later right where I left off. Then I remember playing, I think it was Jimmy Neutron. Attack of the Twonkies, if anyone remembers that game. It's pretty obscure. Well, I mean, it was fairly popular back then, but it's one of those licensed games that people just kind of forget about over time. But I remember that was my first experience of being, like, really frustrated and angry over the fact that they didn't really have frequent checkpoints in the game. Like, they had certain save points, but, like, let's say you save the game, and then you exit it, and then you come back. It takes you back to the beginning of the level all over again, and I fucking hate that shit. Especially, you know, when I was like 5 years old, it took me a very long time to get through these levels, and having to lose everything and start over again, I think it made me stop playing, honestly. I think it did. Because I don't think I ever beat that game. That's something I'm going to have to go back to in the future on my Let's Play channel and rectify that and finally beat the game. I'd say the only time I'm fine with, like, replaying a level over again is probably like the Sonic games because the levels are very short and like they take you like 3 minutes max most of the time. Like that's the longest level that you'll get. So I'm like, okay, yeah, if I'm like a minute and a half into the shit and I die or I miss this or I miss that, like, yeah, I'm gonna replay it and go back and not have a problem because it's Sonic. It's very, very fast. And it's honestly, it benefits you replaying, like actually replaying the entire level so you can see all the alternate paths. You know, that's kind of like the replayability of Sonic in the first place. So, yeah, I feel like that would be redundant to have like a quick save option. Even checkpoints. Like if I get into a checkpoint, like when I was doing my Sonic Heroes playthrough, I would automatically restart the level all over again because I'm like, I'm not... I know this is kind of a random rant, but it is something that has affected my level of enjoyment of video games is just, you know, like having less time to play them, pretty much. That's been the main problem. But I actually have improved and gotten better at video games over the years, and I want to utilize that and actually have a challenging experience while not being frustrated. I know, like, you know, have your cake and eat it too. I know some people will be like, oh, you're cheating when you do stuff like that, but hey, my whole philosophy is you can do whatever you want. All bets are off when it comes to single player. Multiplayer-wise, if you're cheating and you're doing shit like that, like to give yourself an edge, then I'm like, yeah, fuck you, obviously. But what I do, I consider more of a light cheating, because I know there are a lot of people that take value in like, oh my god, I die, like the stakes are high, if I die, then I have to start all over again, or whatever. Like, people like that shit. I'm like, hey, good for you. But that definitely doesn't work for everyone. It does not work for me, and I think people should be more open and less caring of others' opinions. I mean, that's just a life philosophy, but yeah, especially in terms of video games and how you decide to play games, there's no reason to feel ashamed. It's your time, your money, and whatever these neckbeards online have to say, it means absolutely nothing in the grand scheme of things. Oh shit. Yo, are you fucking kidding me? Look at this. Wait, after all of that, ridiculous, huh? Fucking ridiculous.